Does it give me a halo?
You deserve a halo. Jim, happy Easter. There's nothing better to have on Easter than a green halo. How are you?
I think St. Patrick's Day is probably more appropriate, but yeah. Joys and tribulations of using a green screen, right? Happy Easter to you as well. I just got home from church. We were packed to the rafters for our 10:30 service this morning. It was crazy. Excuse me, our 10 o'clock service, which is usually the case, but even more so this year. And our pastor was on fire. And this past couple of months, he's been taking the MAGA and turning it into Make America Kind Again, MAGA, right?
I like it.
Now he's changing it to Make America Love Again.
Well, on that point, I love Make America Kind Again. You and I have talked about, and I have gone on to my little tirades about civility and the lack of and everything else. Did you see what Donald Trump posted today?
And the only thing I was looking for today was one thing about Donald Trump.
All right, so I got to start with it. Well, it's pertinent for so many reasons.
I was looking for the death notice. Okay,
this morning, Easter morning at 8:03 a.m. on Live Social, and it says, and this is a direct quote: "Tuesday will be Power Plant Day and Bridge Day, all wrapped up in one in Iran. There will be nothing like it. Open the fucking street, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah, President Donald J. Trump."
Holy shit! Did he go all in and do some dumb shit at the same time? I mean, let's just break that down for a second. When have we ever had a president say, "You dumb fucking bastards"?
Never. I mean, and here's and since it's Easter, and I'm going to try to be very careful here, but I want all of the evangelical Christians who like Trump right now, hop on the comments and tell us how. I just want you to answer one question. Just one question. Would you let your child talk like that? Would you let your child post that to the world?
And the disrespect of putting praise to Allah with "you fucking bastards." That's just
the other thing, man. You're just gonna, you're a flaming asshole, and you're gonna twist the knife. That's all you are. I mean.
So what's it going to be, Chad? Is it going to be are we talking nuclear here? Or is that the nuclear alternative finally going to happen?
I don't know, dude. I don't know.
So that will be the first threat. Obviously, we do an episode with that.
Well, since you brought it up, and I think I'm with you. So let's take this in pieces, shall we? Tuesday will be Power Plant and Bridge Day. Look it up, folks. Those are both war crimes. You cannot target infrastructure that harms everyday people in war. You can't.
And that's what he's been threatening for the past 2 weeks.
He can call it an excursion all he wants to, but we're bombing a foreign country. That is a war crime. So he's projecting he's going to do war crimes. There will be nothing like it. Open the fucking strait. That's I know I use the F-bomb a lot, folks, but that's a direct quote.
Which fucking strait, though? That's the question I have.
Open the fucking strait. He actually spelled straight correctly this time. You crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Now, this, I think, is a wonderful thing for a president of the United States to say on Easter.
No.
That's an amazing thing to say. You'll be in hell. Well, just watch. Praise be to Allah. So
I'll tell you what, if you want to tell anything to these evangelicals who are out there saying Christian nationalism, your president just said a Muslim thing. Is your president Muslim? In fact, I'm going to guarantee you your president's a Muslim now. If we're going to play that game.
and it says, this is, I'll tell you who it's from in a minute because I got to scroll back up. The president is skipping church on Easter Sunday. Big shock. He will hold an Easter dinner with First Lady Melania Trump following closed door, quote unquote, executive time, according to his daily schedule. His light schedule comes after he was unusually out of the public eye for several days, being unfounded rumors that he'd been hospitalized.
But he was at Walter Reed. He was at Walter Reed.
Yeah. Well, who knows? Here's the thing. I am no fan of this gentleman, but he is almost 80 years old.
He's over 80, isn't he now?
Is he 80? All right. Well, anyway, 79, 80. Older people go to the hospital on a fairly regular basis for not much. So, who knows? So he does all that, and then he calls, I'm assuming you saw where we as the American military, the pilot who was down in Iran, and he called it an Easter miracle, but several hours before, threatened war crimes and, dropped the F-bomb on Easter. Again, folks, if you're a Trump fan, that's fine, but, defend it. Go ahead, defend it. If Joe Biden or Barack Obama or Bill Clinton had gone on, and I know there wasn't Twitter and all that, or X when Bill Clinton was in office, but bear with me here. Mixing apples.
Well, Well,
Recent
Obama
Apple.
was the first president who actually could keep his phone. Before that, presidents had to give up phones, or if you even had a cell phone.
Right. Right.
Trump has never given up his cell
No,
phone.
but I'm saying, I mean, let's say that X existed when all
Yeah.
of those if any one of them had said, "You fucking, give up, open the fucking straight, you crazy bastards."
All of that would have been a TOS violation right away.
And then projected a war crimes. Speaking of which, I don't know if you saw this or not, but members of the military, and of course you saw the shakeup where Hegseth got rid of the number one general, and
Yeah, we got to talk about the whole like shake up the cabinet week.
right. Well, we're getting to that. The people in the higher ranking military and regular military service people are quietly calling the Pentagon the Department of War Crimes now. That's how little yes, that's how they have for Hegseth. They're calling it Department of War Crimes.
Well, I think he and the FBI director will be out soon because he's not delivering the war that Trump wants. And I think even though they said the fire was a win, bringing the pilot back was a win.
Wait. You said the FBI director? Did you mean?
No, Cash Patel, right?
Oh, okay.
I think he's going to be out too. There's already a poll going on all the poll sites saying how long before he goes out.
I know. I have to give, and I can't believe I'm saying this. I have to give Cash Patel a little bit of credit. He saw the writing on the wind or writing on the wall, heard it in the wind, whatever. And you've noticed he's been very quiet since his emails were leaked.
Well, yeah, I mean, because all that shit that went on with the Super Bowl and his emails and everything else.
See, that's what I'm saying, though. He pretended like he was part of the U.S. hockey team, and then using our money just go see his young girlfriend and all that. When the emails came out, you've heard almost nothing from him for the last week and a half. So I think he's probably like, I need to put the brakes on all this. Or
I mean,
job.
Of all the things that I was like, my favorite was knowing that Chris Bondi got in the truck into the Beast with Trump, drove 2 miles to find out her job on the way was gone, and then had to sit through a 4-hour meeting and survive it to come home and pack.
Oh yeah,
and beg her boss for her job.
Well, not only that, I don't know if you realize she's still under subpoena. She has to go. Here's the thing, man. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes, because when Trump sent her to Congress to testify, and she had her little burn sheet, and she's like being an asshole, and
50,000.
Thank you. There's our line. I was waiting for it. When all that happened, she was attorney general, and she had Trump's backing. She has to go back and testify again as a civilian. She has the exact same rights and privileges as you and I, Jim. And
now she's wide open. She doesn't have to say anything she knows, basically.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think we're going to see
not protected anymore.
Well, and I don't think we're going to see snarky Pam Bondi. I think we're going to see quiet, reflective Pam Bondi, and more importantly, and we'll see what happens. But it'll be interesting to see if Pam Bondi is the one who actually has some guts, and when goes back is like, Trump just fired my ass. I'm not carrying the water for him anymore. I'm going to say what I need to say. Because Tulsi Gabbard
and Christina was a little public for a while, but then her transsexual or whatever boyfriend that likes to have boobs, whatever, that whole thing came up, right?
Oh no, that was. Oh, you mean Noam?
Christina, yeah. So she was trying to be public, but then everything got kind of out of hand for her.
Well, but see, I think what Kristi Noem's big sin is that she thought that because she was in the Trump administration, she could act like Trump. And that means make money, do what she wants to do, and all that kind of stuff.
You mean following your leader's example?
Right. But with Trump, you can't do that, because if you start to become a distraction that takes away the air out of his sails, he cuts your ass loose. Lover or hater, and I'm decidedly on the side of hate, you have to admit that Pam Bondi carried that man's water. Like hardcore, like any crazy shit he did, she made excuses. So what I'm saying is, when she goes in front of Congress and they start hammering her as a civilian, it'll be interesting to see if she maybe not goes ham on him and says everything she wants to say, but if she, sort of takes some shots at Trump, like, you just fired me, asshole. I'm not carrying your water anymore.
Well, it's been interesting because there was a call out that, Trump has fired basically all his female cabinet members because
that's true. And Tulsi Gabbard's, after she sort of admitted in front of Congress that that Iran was not a good idea. Yes, she's not as popular as she once was.
Well, I mean, the Republicans are scared to death right now because they're going to lose their majority one way or the other. So they're going to push everything they can in the next few months.
Right.
That's what we have to worry about, because
and I've said this before, and you and I've talked this before, and I know what I'm getting ready to say. Like last week when you said something about think and the Trump administration, I made a joke about those two things don't go together. But I don't understand at this point. You've got a lame duck president, and he and Steve Bannon could talk about running in 2028 all they want. But the bottom line is, go ahead and run with your poll numbers right now. You're not going to win any fucking way. In fact, you want to talk about landslide, it's going to go the other direction. So I don't think. And between you and me, I think Trump's done. I think he's tired.
That's exactly what I believe. I think he's tired. He's not
tired.
well.
He doesn't.
And it's wearing him out.
Right. He doesn't want to do this anymore.
He doesn't even have that fire in his eyes anymore. Right? Like,
No,
you could tell. Like, there were things that got him going, and he enjoyed it. Now he sits there. He is so hazed over and fogged out.
He falls asleep in almost every. And look, I'm not going to be that guy because it pissed me off when they did it to Joe Biden. Joe Biden was an old man. Yes, he fell asleep. Yes, he got confused. I mean, if you've got older family members, they do that shit, which again begs the question of, should you be running the country if you're that old? And my answer is probably not. But yeah, I mean, he keeps falling asleep in meetings. I'll be 58, fall asleep during the day if there's nothing going on or if I'm bored.
Church if it's not keeping me going.
I have sat at my desk before at work and had to do the get myself awake. So
when I worked at a certain CRM company,
so I'm
we had little break rooms. I used to go and lay down and break.
Oh, I know. I have gone to my car at lunch and taken a nap. I will admit that. But my point is so it always felt so shitty to me when they did that to Joe Biden. And you and I both talked about this. Joe Biden should have gotten out a year before he did. That would have helped Kamala. I don't know if she would have won or not, but instead of 107 days, she would have actually had a year to be president, Nixon, and give people an idea of what she actually would do.
Things the other way for a while, right?
Right. Well, the thing is, I mean, I actually heard people speak on, clips on TikTok and everything else and say, well, she did a horrible job as president. And it's like, she was never president, folks. She ran for 170 days, but anyway, long story short, I'm not going to sit here and blast Trump for falling asleep in meetings, but I am going to say that you're right. I don't see the killer instinct anymore. I don't see the reveling in being the center of attention. He just seems tired. And I'll say this again, if the House or the Senate or both flip, I got him pardoning himself and starting a constitutional crisis, or actually he wouldn't even have to pardon himself. If I'm JD Vance, who's a horrible sycophant anyway, and I said, look, man, I'm going to get out and let you be president for 2 years so that you're the incumbent in 2028. All you do is pardon me and I'm out. If I'm JD Vance, I'm making that pardon. And you could easily say, there's enough division in this country. I didn't want it to go on, just like Ford did with Nixon. We just needed to heal. I mean, you wouldn't lose many voters over time, especially if you had 2 years as president and didn't do a horrible job. You wouldn't lose that many voters because people who hate Trump are going to vote for JD Vance anyway. Pardon or no pardon.
JD Vance's biggest challenge is going to be getting anybody from MAGA or anybody on the far right to go for him.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. I mean, if he pardons Trump, he's not losing any votes he was going to get anyway. If he pardons Trump, I'm not going to vote for JD Vance regardless. So if he pardons, anyway. So since we're at Easter, I have one more for you. I don't know if you saw this. So Paula White Cain is the religious nut job who is Trump's spiritual advisor. And if you don't know Paula White Cain, pause for a moment and Google her. And I promise you will scratch your head and go, what in the hell is she doing anywhere near power?
She is an
right. But recently she was giving a speech and Trump was there. I don't remember what they were doing exactly, but she literally compared him to Jesus Christ. She said, you've gone through trials and tribulations and you've been this and that and the other thing, very much like our Lord. And I'm paraphrasing at this point, but very much.
I remember when she said that too.
Very much like our Lord Jesus Christ, and he never gave up. Or he never gave in, and neither have you. So,
and there's been numerous times in his current term where people have referred to him as the priest, the God, Jesus.
He called him the chosen one
because it fits into the narrative of end of days, right? I mean, so you got this guy who's willing to play the script, hoping that he can bring it on, right? So,
I got a question for you, Jim, and this popped up on my feed, and the guy was asking an honest question, and you're a religious man. I am not. And it's Easter, so I'm going to ask you this question because of Trump saying, praise be to Allah. And you and I both know that was a slap. That wasn't anything. Do you believe, and this is a deep question, but do you believe that Christians and Muslims worship the same God?
Well, it's a good question because
Just differently in how they worship.
I took enough comparative religion courses in my day because I wanted to understand all these different faiths. Because if you want to know what you believe in, you should know what everybody else believes in too. And my general take is that they are all the same deity revealed different ways.
That's how I
Which
feel.
could lead to it could just be a big space alien for all I know, right? But I mean, it's the same power that shows up. It shows up in Hinduism. It shows up in the Eastern religions. It shows up everywhere, right? So it's hard. It's like any great story. It's been told. The flood story everywhere, right? Every culture has got a flood story. So
Absolutely.
I think the Savior story is just everybody's got a way to believe in it.
Right. Because I mean, obviously, I mean, you don't have to be a religious scholar or genius
Right.
to figure out that the God, Yahweh, whatever. I'm not trying, I
Yeah.
don't mean to sound
Yeah.
black.
Abba and all those things. Yeah.
Right. That God, the God that the Jews worshipped, Jesus was a Jew, same God. Like
Yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
through line there. Now, granted,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
covenant's different and all that kind of stuff, and the way they worship is not drastically different, but different through line. And then, of course, if I remember my comparative religion correctly, Muhammad took parts of the Bible and other sacred writings, and God, Allah, told him, actually he couldn't write, if I still remember that correctly, but told him what to dictate, on
Yeah.
and so forth. So again, same, it's the same God. There's a through line, but there
Right,
are
and most
there are
Muslims believe Jesus was a prophet or a good man. I mean, they do believe he was a figure that was
right. Oh yeah, the Muslim
much as Christians believe. Oh, is I mean,
Muhammad.
Muhammad is an important guy.
Right. I mean, Islam gives Jesus props. Now, they don't
Yeah,
believe he's the son of God. They believe,
but we're one of those Latter Day Saints folks and their whole golden tablets up in New York.
I don't even, there's so much.
And this is no disrespect to my Mormon friends. I mean, I've read your story. I get it. What I want to know is, and I actually went to a Mormon temple tour one time, and there was a painting of this big giant disco ball spaceship flying through the sky, which they were all going to head to. And that doesn't come up anymore. That's gone from their lore. And I'm like, I liked the disco ball starship. That kind of made something for me to say I'd want to be part of it.
Yeah. I'm
So,
not,
yes.
I'm not, no, I want to, every fiber of my being wants to, but I'm going to.
So
Okay.
yeah, I think that I don't think, and you have to remember that we brand Muslims with one brand. It's not fair. Most Muslims don't hate Christians, don't hate Americans. That's not the fact. It's actually opposite their creed of their religion. Now, radicalized, different, right? But radicalized Americans are different too.
Well, I'm just going to say, I mean, I know lots of Christians in this country who, and I'm going to use this word, bear with me, are normal, everyday, go about their business, not cheat people, not want to kill people, not want to, whatever. And then there are the Christian nationalist nut jobs who want, it's so funny. They're the ones screaming no Sharia law, but they want Christian law all over the country. And I'm like, other
All I
than
ever go back to, Chuck, is Jesus said his kingdom was not of this world.
I know, but I'm saying I mean, other than the fact that they're two different laws, I'm not sure how one religious law governing everything is better than the other. But anyway, so
and our forefathers didn't want any religious laws involved in our country.
Thank you. They
Until
were
the
very
50s.
clear about that.
Before.
And they put it in that thing called the Constitution that all the right-wing folks scream about all the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
We weren't even one nation under God until the 50s.
So let's move on. Did you see, and I went on a long tirade last week about Trump, and you and I both talked about Trump manipulating the markets and everything else. Did you see that Iran called him out on that?
The propaganda coming out of Iran has actually, I'm trying to find it because it's so good. The Lego ones, I mean, they are just so good.
And I'm not pro-Iran, I'm not anti-America, but
I
hey,
love that they're doing something that's so like, you want to go shoot your flight planes and dump shit on people? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to tell you truth. I mean, they'll be the ones who leak all the Epstein stuff.
Well, as they say, game recognized, game and respect, gentlemen. So there's that. So they called him out. Brendan Carr, who is in charge of the FCC, said the quiet part out loud this week. And at CPAC, he was crowing about how the non-right media is dying because the Ellisons and the Musks and everybody else are buying up, with his blessing, and of course Trump's, buying up all of these conglomerates and turning everything into right-wing media.
So,
and I'm like,
I'm glad you brought this up because this is something I've been thinking, like with this whole thing about potentially Trump going to the hospital this week, whatever you want to believe, there was almost no news coverage at all. And it was coming out of all kinds of places, this story, right? And I thought to myself, okay, so he's finally knocked the quote unquote fake news out. Now they report only what he wants them to report. So the dictator's made some good statements. He's pushed himself out there and media is bowing to him now. So, everything's propaganda at this point.
You're right. And as more of the right wing folks, billionaires buy more things and turn them right wing. I play a little game with you. So let's just say, for giggles, that you and I are correct, and Trump leaves in or around the new year because if the House and or the Senate flip, he's still it's still Republican until January 20th.
Yeah.
So let's say around the new year he gets tired, he makes some health excuse because Trump can't be a loser. Even if he is, he can't. So he's going to do some health thing. He's going to get pardoned by the and all that goes. Let's say, just for giggles, that your CBS News, which is failing now because Barry Weiss. But anyway, she's driving it into the ground to the point where and if I'm the person who, I think, is it Ellison that bought it, I'm going to be like, you're bankrupting this thing I purchased. And I don't care if you're a multi billionaire, you don't like to lose money, or you wouldn't be a billionaire. Like, you wouldn't have amassed all of that to just piss it all away.
Comes hand in hand.
What's that?
It comes hand in hand.
Right. So let's say the Democrats do take over the House.
Mhm.
And let's say the Senate becomes, I don't know, 50-50 or something like that. And the Democrats start floating bills that actually help you and me. They, healthcare, they figure out something and they actually start floating bills. And this time next year, or June of next year, gas is down to, $2.80 a gallon again, and grocery prices have fallen, and Jim and Chuck's healthcare costs go down, and all that kind of stuff.
People start traveling. We can make money on our other businesses.
Right. I hope that no matter how much media has been turned to right-wing spin, the average American is going to look at what they're spending, and they're going to say, when the Republicans were completely in charge, I couldn't afford shit. Now I'm traveling. Now I can afford to fill up my car more often. Now my grocery bill's gone down. Now my healthcare costs have gone down. I hope that no matter what, however right-wing the media is, I hope it doesn't matter, because I think on social issues, trans this and all that bullshit. Yes, I think Republicans will still bite on that, but because we have gone through the last 14 months of prices going up, and the last month of gas prices spiking, and
the national average is now $4.
And them taking, and the Republicans taking away all the help, giving a huge tax break to the ultra wealthy and taking away people's ACA benefits and all of that kind of stuff. I hope it kind of doesn't matter. I hope it gets to a point where the average American, when it's time to vote, says, maybe I'm a Democrat, maybe I'm a Republican, but gee, under this almost 2 years of Trump, I couldn't afford shit, and now I can. And again, that's
the question you always have to ask yourself: are you better off than you were 4 years ago?
Right. And please understand that I'm making a big leap there, that the Democrats would suddenly make things better. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just talking about, with all of the media being bought up by right-wing folks, I'm just wondering if it's going to make a big deal, as long as Democrats can do things to help the average American person.
Yeah.
Speaking of, did you see where Trump was at? Was a fundraiser or a closed door, and the White House leaked it by accident and then took it down later, where Trump said, we can't take care of child care. We can't take care of Medicaid. We can't take care of Medicare. We can't take care of all of these things. The state's going to have to do it. Federal government can't, because our biggest concern is safety and war. As he's asking for, was it another $200 billion or whatever the hell it is to prosecute this war and again, we are post hypocrisy. Because we are. Trump went on, made a cute little video of himself back in when I don't remember what year it was, when Obama was in the White House, and he said everybody's going to bomb. All these different people are going to bomb Iran because their poll numbers went down. Watch, they're going to do it. They're going to do it. His poll numbers goes down. He bombs Iran, and everybody's like, well, it was for the safety of the United States. I had a coworker the other day say that, and I'm like, dude, no. They don't have. If they were,
Bush could call it safety of the United States because it happened on our territory.
Well, exactly. But here's my thing. Okay, let's just say they don't. But let's say they had a nuclear weapon. Let's say they had a bomb, 2, 3, 10. We know they did.
WMD.
Yeah, we know they didn't have hundreds. That's just not
Right.
possible. They didn't have enough uranium for that. But let's say they had 10 nuclear warheads. Okay,
Okay.
horrible, horrible thing. Since the brakes have been off and they're bombing everyone they want to bomb, their longest range missile goes like, what is it, 1,000 miles? Nowhere, not even remotely do crazy new math anywhere near the American mainland. Now, you could make the point that you don't want them dropping it on Israel and other countries
Or
nearby.
pulling a card with China or Russia.
Right. I mean, you can make that point,
Hmm.
but they got to stop saying, it was a threat to the American people. It's not. They literally do not have the munitions to get it over here, even if they had it. And does anybody really believe that they had a nuclear weapon? They were 2 weeks away. No, they weren't. No, they weren't. You can't say
We've been
you
2
blew it
weeks
all
away
up.
for as long as I've been 45.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, and the other thing is, but 6 months ago, we decimated it completely. So we believe it's taken them all this time, 6 months, all the time to get to uranium enrichment. And now in 6 months, they magically fixed all that and got themselves to the point where they almost had a nuclear weapon. Come on. It just doesn't make any sense.
Well, and when we're out there saying, we have air dominance, we're dominating this war, and they take 2 of our fighters down, that system. Because we haven't had fighters taken down in the war in a long time.
No. And I think I read today, they have destroyed or disrupted 5 or 6 American bases around the Middle East to the point where they're almost unusable. But yeah, we're dominating. Now, here's the thing. Could we? Fuck yeah. If we took all the brakes off.
We have the capacity to do whatever we want. That's
the thing. Do we have enough military? Yeah. If we really unleashed our full military, we could just, without nukes, we could completely decimate that country's infrastructure. But that's not what we're doing. He thought, because he's a bully, and bullies think if they saber rattle.
If you tweet it, they'll come.
Thank you. And what he didn't realize or didn't want to realize, or nobody told him, or he's insulated or whatever. Speaking of which, did you see Megyn Kelly saying, well, maybe he's not getting the information from his people, or maybe he's not understanding it fully. And I'm like, that's not an excuse. That doesn't make me feel any better. No, I mean, so he either the people who's supposed to tell him what's really going on aren't, which scares the hell out of me, or he's too old and feeble to understand it.
Let's just hypothetically think about this. If you're on Trump's cabinet and you have a egregious offense out, and egregious offenses were just blanketed, you knew what they meant. So you're on Trump's cabinet, and now you have to tell him something he doesn't want to hear. Are you going to tell him? You're going to lose your job. You're going to be smeared all over the news as a bad person.
And that's the problem with a quote unquote strong man leader, which he's not. He's a wuss, but a strong man leader. And that's the problem with
trying to run the government like it's a mafia nowadays. He thinks he's a Goomba.
But he's not strong enough to do that because he can't.
Say Goomba. I didn't mean to offend anybody.
Yeah, but that's what he would like to be, but he's not strong enough. Because if you look at mob bosses like Gotti and those guys, I mean, they ran everything with an iron fist for decades because they were focused and they got shit done. And I am not in any way, shape, or form giving props.
See, that's how Trump sees himself, right? He sees himself as running things. He thinks that he's been on top of the game since the 80s when his book came out and through. Even though he's been on the edge of bankruptcy. What's that?
That he didn't write.
Yeah. He's been on the edge of bankruptcy since then. He wanted to keep doing Celebrity Apprentice, but the show tanked. Nobody liked it. They didn't like him. I think he has such a problem. And you read books about him. You read Mary Trump's book. You read all these other ones that, about his parents. And he was brought up in a life that makes sense why he's like he is in many ways. And his dad created a lot of that for him. And he has no sense of self-worth.
Well,
and so his self-worth comes from what he owns and what he buys.
Well, and don't leave his mother out of this. Read about his mother. Yeah. She was so narcissistic father, detached mother, and I mean he's
Trump grows up to cheat on his wives, sleep with kids, play with little girls. I mean, it's like he's looking for something he never could figure out for himself, and nobody could teach him, right? So in some ways, I feel sorry for people like that because it's the product of their upbringing is that they're just fucked up in the head. They don't really get it, and there's no way out for them.
Feel horribly sorry for people raised like that, but I don't want them to be president of the United States.
Well, that's a good point. I mean, no,
I do. I mean, I
don't mean that I feel horrible for him, but he should be president. It's just I feel horrible that the life he was brought up in created this scenario for him. again, not a huge Trump fan, but I can be humanistic around this, right? My
No, I mean,
Christianity says I still have to care and love, you know?
right. Well, I mean, I think you and I are both reasonable, compassionate people, and I can separate the two. I can say, I mean, I've read the stories. I mean,
Yeah.
I can only imagine growing up in that household. My heart, truly, and I mean this, my heart bleeds for him as a human being. That's horrible. Period. I don't want somebody like that president. Period. I can do both. I can feel sorry for, and once he's gone or out of office and everything else, yeah, I can
So with everything
separate
melting
that
down, it
out.
feels like the Epstein files are quiet for a while, which means he must getting ready for something big to come out.
Did you see where? Okay, so we haven't really talked about this, but we both know that Pam Bondi got. I mean, we sort of glanced over. Pam Bondi got her ass handed to her, and she is no longer in the Trump administration.
Uh-huh.
And his name just went out of my head. The acting Todd Blanche. Todd Blanche is
Yep.
acting now. He was her second in command. He was also Trump's personal lawyer, so obviously super qualified for everything.
Very loyal. Very loyal.
Thomas Massey, who is the Republican thorn in Trump's side right now when it comes to Epstein, came out and said, "You are on notice. You have 30 days to release all of the rest of the Epstein files, or you will be in breach, and we will be having a chat with you." Now, do I believe that they're magically going to do it? No, because Trump's trying to slow roll it.
No, or at least legally putting the notice out. I mean, that's the important thing, right? You got to do this legally. If you
But see,
want,
that's the thing. So I gotta wonder. So, and I don't ever want to give Megyn Kelly any credit for anything because I think she's just an empty suit with an empty woman's suit. Anyway, who's making money spewing nonsense. But what she said about, are Trump's people not telling him what's really going on, and or is he just not understanding it?
I don't think he gives a shit.
Well, I know, but I'm saying,
What you got to look at is if you look at the big picture, what he's been doing. It's all about he wants to secure a spot in history. He wants his name to be synonymous with certain things. So he puts his name on buildings.
he's already got that, but it's not.
I know, but it's never enough, right? He wants to be Kennedy. He wants to be the names that have been on the things he destroys are who he wants to be. They're sort of idols to him, right?
I get that completely. That's not. I appreciate everything you just said. That's not.
Where the Trump Washington Monument.
This is not. I appreciate everything you said, and you're 100% correct. That's not where I was going with this.
Okay.
Where I was going with this is, I believe in my heart that Trump just thinks if he can slow roll this to the midterms, that it won't hurt him. And you and I both know by talking to 99% of the other human beings in this country that we know, and what's interesting is the most hardcore right wingers are the ones that are like, where the hell are the rest of the Epstein files? They're the ones screaming the loudest, the podcasters, the Fox News and all that. They're the ones not letting this go. So I think he's in a catch-22. By not releasing them, we're all expecting the worst, okay, of what could be in them. Well, because you and I have talked about this. They released half of them. Well, do we for a minute believe that the second half are clean and the first half aren't? No, we all believe, and it could be wrong, but
you put the easy stuff out first, or it could be
logic dictates you put out the easy stuff first and you hold on to the ugly stuff. So let's say it's all the same. Let's say it's the second part is as ugly as the first part. It's all damning, but by not releasing it, you're making people imagine what's in it, which is bad politics. By releasing it, you're letting people know exactly what's in it. So what I'm saying is,
and now you can start fixing versus pushing.
People
will give you a lot of room when you admit you made a mistake.
Right. But I'm saying, by hiding it for so long, even if he were to release it all en masse right now, and it wasn't as bad as we're all imagining it could be, he's still screwed. I mean, and I'm not giving him any credit. I'm just saying you're in a catch-22. You slow rolled it for so long that it kind of doesn't matter what you do, the damage is done.
Yeah. I think the thing that's the greatest fear for most is who's going to come out really pushing that, not just Trump. There's a lot of other folks in those files that are going to come out, and it's going to look really bad. It's going to look really bad.
Well, and it's interesting. You're right.
I don't even think Trump's going to play the lead role at some point.
Well, and it's interesting because like you and I've talked about, the QAnon weirdos were right. They just had the wrong group as the pedophiles. But so far, I'm being serious.
Right. The Republicans were actually running the pizza factory.
Right. But let's I'm using logic, and you can't always use logic in these things.
String, buddy.
But let's use logic. So if we believe, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think we're on the same page. If we believe that and let's just call it half and half. I don't know. I think there's 6 million documents. I think they released 3, whatever. If we believe in our hearts that the first half is cleaner than the second half. Now, I'm not going to say how ugly the second half is, but we got to believe if we're running a platform and trying to make ourselves look good, we're going to release the most sanitized version first. Do we agree with that? Okay, so there's no real Democrats in there. I mean, there's not. I mean, there's Microsoft. Bill Gates is in there, but not this little girl.
Bill and Bill are in there. That's it.
Well, we already knew Bill Clinton's in it. You're right.
We already in everything. Let's be honest. You went into Monica, okay?
Right, but was anybody surprised that Bill Clinton was in there? No offense, not. But I mean,
even Bill wasn't surprised.
You got Lutnick, you got Musk, you got all of these right wingers who are peppered in there. And do we believe for a second that the Trump administration didn't release everything they could in the first half that would damn Democrats? And I'll say this again, folks, listen carefully. If there are any Democrats in there and it can be proved that they harmed children, they should be shot or at least put in prison for the rest of their lives, whatever. I'm not absolving anybody by political party.
We talked about before.
Right. If you harm a child, there's not enough horrible things they can do to you. I believe that with all my heart. But what I'm saying is, if I'm the Trump administration and I'm trying to walk away from, or if I'm trying to cleanse myself or distance myself from the Epstein files, I'm going to throw out everything that I can in the first wave that makes Democrats look bad.
Yeah.
And
that's who you tried to hurt to keep your majorities.
Right. What I'm saying is, if they have done that, okay, where are the Democrats? And again, no offense to Bill Clinton, nobody was shocked by that. Most people were a little shocked.
Hillary wasn't shocked.
Right. Well, I'm saying some people were shocked that Bill Gates was in there, but there was nothing in there that said he harmed little girls. It said he was having sex with grown women prostitutes when he was away on business trips, which makes you an asshole, but it doesn't make you a pedophile. But you've got all these, Elon Musk, I want to be there for your wildest party, and Lutnick. I didn't know him, and they lived next to each other and had lunch several times after he was busted. And then you've got Blanche. Was Blanche the one that gave him the sweetheart deal? I know he gave Ghislaine Maxwell a sweetheart deal. And see, that's what I'm saying. It's like the damage is done. The Epstein files will forever be. And I know what you're saying. That's why Trump wants to build an arch and put his name on the, and put gaudy gold shit all in the, the ballroom and the Kennedy Center and all that kind of crap. But his name will always be attached to this. No matter what, he will always be attached to the Epstein files. Just like whatever, and I wasn't a lot, well, I was alive, but I was a little tiny baby. Whatever good things Richard Nixon may have done in his presidency, he's tied to Watergate.
And he did do some good things. There were things that happened in his. Absolutely. He was not a bad president.
No.
He had a side, and he got caught up in his own bullshit. Right.
But he will always be tied to what?
Just like Kennedy and Monroe and the Bay of Pigs.
Exactly.
And there's things you remember each president for. So if you're tuning in, folks, first of all, thank you for being here. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, and all that stuff. We did promise you for this episode on Easter that we'd be talking about the book, The Separation of Church and Hate. And we have something coming up. We're not going to announce it. We're not going to talk about it. But we pushed it off because there's something brewing that may just blow our socks off and yours too. Mm-hmm. So that's why we changed our focus today. Stay tuned. It'll be big if it happens. And so with that, I want to move into, I'm going to give my baggie of the week.
The baggie.
So as I've shared last week, I'm doing this triad sharing thing now. I've been trying to get myself set up with Lyft, and they keep sending me through their support team. These are all chat AI. And the problem is they still show me living in California, despite my profile all showing Texas. So when I submit my docs, it's where your driver's license doesn't match where you live. I'm like, well, actually it does, because you look at my profile, it says I live in Texas. And then they send me to their chatbot, and I go through it, and it asks me the same thing, and it says, well, resubmit your documents. And I do, and it says, you don't live in that state. You don't live in that state. So my baggie goes to these customer support teams that Lyft and many other places where they come on and tell you, we're really busy right now. We promise we'll get to you soon. Or when they send you in a circular system of support. And so between Lyft and a couple others this week, I've spent a lot of time listening to calls from my bank. Did it to me too. I call them and they say, we're exceptionally busy right now. Like, you're exceptionally busy every day. I call no matter what time of the day. So what that tells me is you're understaffed.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It kind of I have learned in this life that usually one thing follows another, and if you cut a bunch of staff to save money, that means you're not giving as much customer service. I don't feel like I'm a genius for coming up with that, but yeah, it's pretty much the way things work in the world.
I
Okay,
get you. You're like, oh, we have an exceptionally long
that was
wait
the
time.
first non-human. That was the first non-human baggie. Okay, I
Yeah,
like that. All right, we're
it's
expanding.
AI.
AI, yeah,
AI support.
or lack of support. All right, Jim, well, we're getting to that witching hour, so here's your happy ending. Jim, solar breakthrough makes the impossible possible. Solar is already the cheapest and fastest growing source of electricity globally. Now, Japanese scientists have reported a breakthrough that could drive major efficiency gains for panels. In a study, academics at Kyushu University claim to have broken through the glass ceiling that has long limited the amount of sunlight that solar panels can capture, boosting efficiency from 100% to 130%, a feat that previously seemed impossible. Prototype panels achieved this by capturing energy that was previously lost as heat. A development opens up the possibility for new ultra-efficient panels. Kyushu University said that its work, quote, establishes a new design strategy for, unquote, solar energy amplification. However, it cautioned that its current experiments remain at the proof of concept stage and that further tests are.
I tell you what, best decision I ever made was going with solar on my home.
Well,
My fixed electricity costs are pretty awesome, and as power prices continue to rise every 9 months in Texas, and the average price per kilowatt hour gets higher and higher, I'm locked in at free sunlight and the renting of the equipment.
so just to let you know, the raising of kilowatt hour is everywhere. It's not
Yeah, I know, I know.
Texas, but yeah, and you and I've talked about this. I live in I have 2 acres and I live in the woods. I really couldn't do solar panels. I would love to. No, truly, I would
Yeah.
love to, but I
And
only
my secret, I'm
I
going to
only
share
get
my secret with everybody out there. If you want to do solar panels, go ahead, John.
well, no, I was gonna say it's if you look at Google Maps
Right.
over my house, I would literally get sun from like 11, 12, and 1. The rest of the time, it's behind the trees. So
Yeah, you just do a lot of tree trimming. So I have a secret I will share with everybody. If you're looking at solar, this is not sponsored, but one thing I tell people, if you're going to do solar, someone comes to your door and says you're interested in solar power. I have a couple things you got to remember. First of all, make sure your salesperson understands what your maximum capacity need is, and don't accept a system that's less than max capacity.
okay.
And make sure you take the nighttime storage options, the batteries. Because if you don't do those things, if you do what some people do, like, I'll put 4 panels, well, that might power your refrigerator for a few hours. It's not going to give you the benefit. You're going to pay for the equipment and you're going to pay for excess power. I went in with the maximum amount of power I needed at a peak per year. That's what I put in. So
Okay.
I've never needed more. And I have 2 big batteries that last me can go 2 days without being charged up. That's how I've kept my costs down. You have to be smart. Now, I do it as solar as a service thing. Great way to go, folks. Do it. Do it while you see fuel prices like this, because they're going to get worse again. It's inevitable fuel prices go up and down.
And
Gas prices are going up every day. I mean, I'm talking natural.
and here's your public service announcement from Life the Mega Claim and Jim Houck.
Hey,
I do
everybody
appreciate it.
asks me like why I got so lucky, why my solar works. I'm just like, every time I sit down and talk to somebody about this, it's gone through this challenge. I go, how many panels did you put in? Okay, your house is the same size as mine. You put 6 panels in. I got 26.
Right. Well, no, and I'm teasing you because
No, I know, but it's sort of one of those things where I'm like, yeah, you can do anything halfway.
well, no, I'm teasing about the public service announcement. That's fantastic, and I'll be honest with you, if I wasn't in the unique tree situation that I'm in, I'd have been taking notes because
Hey, Jeff, I went
you
from
obviously know what you're talking about.
a power bill that would peak out around $800 to $900 a month in the summer.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
because of Texas. My gas heat balances that out in the wintertime. But now I have a fixed cost of $300 a month,
Beautiful.
and I got that electric car. I'm not paying $4 a gallon for that.
No, you're not. Good for you.
So I'm feeling really good about all these choices that at the time people were like, "Oh, yeah, if it's never gonna pay off." And I'm like, "Really?"
I mean, yeah. I mean, you know, so for years, when I was in education, I had an hour plus drive each way, and I didn't get an electric car because when I was doing that, they were still crazy expensive. They hadn't come down to the 30s, a
Yeah,
decent one for in the 30s, 40s, or whatever. And the other thing is, I was always worried about distance,
yeah,
travel distance. Now, my job now, I literally work 1.3 miles from my home. Travel distance is not an issue. I've thought about it, but then the other thing I'm and want to save some money and help out the world.
yeah, yeah.
My son was in college in a major city and has a really nice. I think it's a 10-speed bike. It's I don't know if they're 10, 15 or whatever the fuck it is, but I just need to pump up the tires. I'm gonna start riding my bike to
There you
work.
go. There you go.
because, for exercise
Feel
and
better for the planet than driving a gas
well,
guzzler.
exercise, A, and B, gas. I think the last time I looked around, we have 3 gas stations about half a mile from here, and it was like 4.15. So I'm
I mean, I'm
sure it's
excited to
higher
hear
than
about this
that.
improvement in solar panels because I feel like, eventually we're going to get to where it'll be, California's getting what got real close to kind of mandating. They did mandate so much solar. When solar becomes an attractive solution for people, it'll be easier. I'm fortunate because I could hide my panels and nobody can really see them. And I
Mm,
got real low profile. So you don't, it's very little to notice unless you look. But I get it. If you're thinking about solar of the early 90s and 2000s, it was, 3-inch thick blocks that just didn't
yeah.
look pretty anywhere. Now they're thin black boxes. They put nice trims on them. You don't see them. And it's such a great investment to make because there will always be sun.
Well,
Well,
and that's
unless we nuke the environment.
right. Well, and that's what kills me about people, mostly people on the right who are clinging so desperately to there's no climate change. And it's like, okay, let's say for a minute there's not. No, no, no. Let's say for a minute there's not. Why would you not want cheaper energy? Like, that's what blows my mind. So why would you not want to pay less? Forget the environment for a minute. Just on logic, why would you not want to pay less?
I still think it's the remnants of the baby boomer society that came home from the war to endless resources, thinking it would always be there. And I hate to say that, but it's true. I watched it with my dad. I've watched it with other
No,
relatives.
no, you're right, and it's that you're right, and it's that whole thing. Not only was it endless resources, it was one person could work, and the other, usually it was a man. I'm not advocating that. I'm just
Yeah.
stating fact. The husband could work, make a decent living. The wife could stay home, and you'd have a house and two
She could do her quaaludes and her meth and things like that while she cooked.
two. Well, you just tripped over into the 70s. You completely went to 50s and 60s, but okay.
God, the 50s were the best meth housewives. That's what they said.
No, I know, but
Here, dear, I cleaned the house. I built the carpet. I built the house.
but yeah, but I agree that whole idea of and again, you and I've talked about this. I won't get into it because we've gone too long as it is. I can see your interest is starting to wane. But no, I'm kidding. But no, it's that
Damn camera tracks me everywhere I go.
no, but it's that same idea of you could actually live without two people working and massive debt and everything else,
Right.
buy a home and all of those things. And we've talked about this, and this is the last thing I'll say, and then we probably should get going. My son's 29. He and I were talking today, and he and his girlfriend, we'll see where this goes, but they want to buy a house.
Yeah.
And it's not a matter of
What did you do for them? That's sad.
well, and and the crazy thing is it's less about money. It is, but it's not. Here's the thing. They've got the money to put a down payment and buy a home, but it's like, do they need, with no kids, do they need a $550,000 home with a
Yeah.
$3,000 a month mortgage? Are you kidding me?
Well, and that's it. Those entry level homes like the 3-bed, 2-bath, or even smaller, aren't being built. They're
No,
building everything on the big scale, and it's really there's no starter homes anymore. So they go.
no.
So your kid's going to go look out for a starter home that's somebody's moving out of, and there's a lot of people fighting for that, right? Because that's all. I don't want. I never wanted a 2-story home. So I never bought a 2-story home. That's almost all you can find anymore, right? So
Right.
I want a single level. I don't even want this much space.
It's like where we live. I have a 3 and 2 with a large detached garage on 2 wooded acres. When we decide to sell this, there's going to be a bidding war because there's nothing, and we're not going to try to gouge anybody, but just at regular market value, there's nothing like this, nothing being built like this. Exactly what you said. There are all these McMansions and,
Everything's
this.
on 0 lot lines, and it's all
Oh,
like pack
well,
'em in.
that's the other thing. There's no HOA here. So
Right.
if I were a young person looking for a house, the first thing I would look at is anything that didn't have an HOA.
Yeah, don't do an HOA when you're new to a house. It's
God,
just
no.
it's
Well,
extra cost you're never going to be ready for when it happens.
I've heard so many horror stories about HOA nonsense.
And
Anyway,
watch for things like Melrose taxes and stuff that go on in places too, where they get you to do the upkeep because the city didn't really want the property sold.
right. Well, Jim, we should probably call it, my friend.
Yes, sir.
Happy Easter. Any parting words?
Yeah, this is the day when the rocks rolled back and the bunny came out and said, Jesus isn't here anymore. Just so you know.
Hey,
We get a big bite out of his ass. That was probably Jesus.
okay. Thank you for that.
Hey, Friday was when you put wobbly Jesus on the cross. And he goes, whoa, whoa. I got more of these kids. I got them all day.
Folks, have a great week. We'll see you next time.